Welcome back to Jersey Matters. We continue our conversation with Sean Spiller, who is the Vice President of the New Jersey Education Association, which is the teachers union in the state. Let's talk about Paula White. She was nominated by, no, she got the job as assistant commissioner, nominated by the governor, put in by the school board, and then she was fired. Many people said that was the NJEA. You put pressure on the governor to fire Paula White. Is that what happened?
No. I would say this. I can say personally, too, I don't agree with everything that she stands for, but I will say the governor makes his own decisions as to who works for the governor, and we do not make that decision.
Oh, I understand. The governor makes the decision. You have some influence, though, with the governor.
Well, I'd hope the governor would listen to a lot of different opinions and perspectives on who he wants to kind of populate any agency, and certainly around education, we would hope that he listens to us and other educators. But you know, he makes the decision at the end of the day. His commissioner makes the decision at the end of the day, but you know, not us.
It was strange, though. He loved her, and then he hated her. You know, he loved her, and then he didn't think she was qualified. So something happened. Something happened in that time. Were you involved in that time frame? I mean, it may not have been only you, but were you involved in that time frame?
Right. So I heard about it as well, and I heard about it probably right when she was getting not hired again. You know, and for me, I think it was around along the lines of, he's got a lot of people in the administration, I think a lot of them charged with the ability to make hires, and maybe when things rise to a certain level or get to somebody's desk, they realize, oh, wait a minute, maybe this isn't in line with what we're trying to do. So I think that's probably more how it got flagged.
Should I keep asking, or are you not going to tell me if there was a conversation with the governor in that time?
Well, listen, I'll tell you that any conversation I have directly with the governor or otherwise,
not just
I wouldn't
you.
be sharing,
I'm talking about the associate, not just you. I'm not.
Yeah, look, honestly, I'd say this. It's exactly as I said before. You know, I don't agree with everything she stands for. I really think, if I'm going to put my 2 cents on it, that she was hired by somebody, and eventually she got to some position, and someone said, you know, I think we're going in a different direction.
Universal pre-K. Yeah. How much would that cost? The governor says he wants to do it over 4 years. Is that really possible?
Look, I think that as long as we're working towards something, I know in my own district where I live, we're always thrilled when we can move towards something in terms of like universal pre-K. The benefits are so great. You know, I know that right now when we talk about the educational system and its costs, you have to look at the cost on one side of it. On the side when you've got a student that you don't help early and now you need all these other resources to kind of help support them and bring them along. If we can be investing in our kids early, it's just such a smart move. It leads to such better outcomes for our kids, and it's smarter for all of us as taxpayers as well.
It's difficult for him to pay for things like universal pre-K or even come up with the $283 million, $283 million to give to the school district, because he seems to be having this fight with the Senate president, who is reluctant to put some of his ideas up for a vote. And if that doesn't happen, these things can't get done. Sure. And your organization does seem to be in the center of that. You oppose Steve Sweeney because, and it had to do with Chapter 78, right? You opposed Steve Sweeney because he proposed Chapter 78, and you went up against him in his re-election bid. How do you break through that tension? You're going to need him to get any of these reforms.
I think we all break through the tension the same way, in that there are so many things that we stand united on, you know, the things that we fight for. And let's start from our perspective. Number one, kids. We want to make sure we keep our schools as best in the nation, that we make sure our kids keep getting what they need. And I know the governor wants that. I know the Senate president wants that. And when we find that common ground, it's now, where do we go from there? What are the bills that you're putting forward that are going to help support that process? We're going to be right there with you every step of the way to help champion that, to help move it forward, to help do what we can. And I'm pretty confident that both of them will figure out how they manage their relationship to do that as well.
They have to fix their relationship before you can fix your relationship with the Senate president?
No, I don't even think it's about fixing relationships or not fixing relationships or managing one versus another. It's about, we have common things that we agree on. And I think once those things are bringing us together and uniting us, that's what we'll be focused on, that's what we'll be talking about. And I'm pretty confident that's what's going to happen.
I know you're not going to tell me about any conversations that your organization or anybody here has had with Steve Sweeney since the election, so I won't ask. But are there signs that this is in the rearview mirror? Are you getting a good feeling from the Senate president that he's willing to put this in the past?
Well, I'll say this. I know that right away I heard the Senate president talking about making sure that our schools are well funded. This is right after the election. One of his top priorities. A lot of things that we care so much about. So I think, you know, just hearing that, again, brings you back to the core that when he stands for these things and he's going to be supporting these things, we're going to be there as well. And that's what we're all going to have to focus on.
You must feel proud. You mentioned it once that you always rank either first or second when it comes to schools.
Very proud.
How much do you believe are the property taxes and the money spent in the schools related to that outcome?
It's a big part of it, right? I think we all know that on some level you get what you pay for, as they say. I think now the challenge around it is that what's happened is we've lost that state support, and it's driven up those property taxes. So as we know, the state has failed to live up to its obligation. You talked about the school funding formula earlier, just less and less and less. And what that's done is forced local property taxes higher and higher. We've got to get back to a system. We're happy to see the governor start to do that, where we ramp up the state aid and state assistance so that we can keep those property taxes under control. So it shouldn't be a,
is that
you've
possible?
got to have high property tax. Well, you're seeing it already, as you noted, right? We're on he has started us on a path to more funding for the formula.
That part's good. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about, can you do that? All the things that you want, the universal pre-K, the higher pay, the reforming Chapter 78, all these things, universal pre-K. Can all that happen without raising taxes?
I think it can, with the governor's vision, really, of getting the economy going. That's the biggest thing. And I think what I always take away from it, when you look around the state, look around the nation and look at us as a state, we were something like 48th, 47th in terms of economic growth. That's a lot of room to grow, a lot of opportunity there. And I think that when you see the chance and the chance to really move that forward, which he's really ran on, let's get the economy right and let's then get education right and all these other pieces, I think if he's able to stimulate and get things going, he'll find those resources.
I guess we can all hope that Amazon employees and executives like good schools.
I'm sure they do. Look, it's a big draw, and I think the governor's actually touched on that. We kind of laugh about it, but when you look at these top companies and where they decide to locate, yes, they want incentives and make sure it's affordable for the bottom line, but they also want places where their employees are going to want to go.
Oh, no, that makes sense. When you look for a house, you look for school districts.
Right.
I get it.
Dead right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much.
I appreciate you spending time. Sean Spiller is the Vice President of the New Jersey Education Association. When we come back, Governor Brendan Byrne chose a location for his ashes. You're not going to believe where it is. We'll take you there when Jersey Matters continues.